Hi, I'm Stephanie Ortiz, and today we will be utilizing a couple different features in Excel through budgeting our monthly expenses and our saving goals. So some of those are hyperlinks, sum if formulas, data validation, graphing tools, and complex if functions. So this is a budget goals tool. And if you have a vacation coming up or a big present that you need to save up for, the budget goals tool will help you get there. If you also just want to see where your money is going from month to month, like I know I do, the budget goals tool will show you exactly where you're spending the most. So we'll be navigating through a couple of these different tabs. And here in tab I have hyperlinks. You can click through down here, but a hyperlink will also just help you navigate easier. So first we'll be going through the expense tab and I'll show you how to do that, but we'll be going through the expense tab and we'll be importing our expenses for a singular month. Then if we go to the budget tab, we'll be able to categorize by list there. Then the modifications tab is where you'll be able to input your categories. Then we'll be able to view or visualize our expenditures in the graphs tab. And at the end, we'll go over the goal tool app. But these hyperlinks, I've inserted home here, but you can press back or whatever you want to name it, instructions. But for today, I will be putting home. So right now, if you click this, oh, if you delete it, but if you click for right now, this isn't anything, it's just text. But if you right click, hit link, and go through here for today, we'll be placing in this document. We can reference directly to instructions, so it'll take you back there. I do want to highlight that you can reference a specific cell, like if you want to reference cell C5, then you can do that. But for today, I'll just leave it there so it can take us back in general. I will double click instructions, and now this is a hyper or an active hyperlink. So we will go back to tab A, and here I've imported different expenses. This is where you'll be able to put things in. So let's say you went to a concert and you spent 150. We'll go ahead and import all of the expenses by name and by the amount. Then you'll put your income here. So we are following Sally and Sue for their May 2024 expenses. So Sally makes 45 and Sue makes 25,000. If you have a singular income, obviously we'll need that second line. Then we have a basic sum function. And aside from functions and features, I've learned as an accountant in 3 years, one of the more important things is keyboard shortcuts. So I want to show you a helpful tip. If you do alt equals, it'll auto sum the values around it. So if you hit alt equals and enter, now we have their yearly total income. I'm gonna go back to the home tab. So it says follow the budget tab next, and we'll be able to categorize. So again, tab B. Here, all of this is pulling from tab A. So if you do equals and then reference whatever you want to pick up, it'll just send it to wherever you reference. I'm going to divide that by 12 because I want this by month. So now we have their monthly income. Here you see that I have categories. This is indicating that there's a drop down. So if I didn't already have that in to do data validation or a drop down, you go to data and then click data validation. For a drop down, they have different options, but we'll be selecting list and you need to tell it what to pick up, what is going to show up on your list. So the source, I already have it linked, but I've created these different categories here and you can fully customize this to whatever you need. But I will pick all of these up, hit enter and okay. So now this is picking up everything from tab D. So for a concert, I'll say that's entertainment. Here we have recurring or non-recurring. I want to know if this specific category is a monthly recurring expense or non-recurring. So I'm using an if or formula. So it's a formula within a formula, but the or function will allow you to select multiple things to modify it by. So if I select this, I want to know if cell E25 is equal to, and go to modifications. I've already separated out, but I want to know if it's recurring or non-recurring. So if E25 is equal to housing or comma, if E25 is equal to subscriptions, comma, or if it is equal to utilities, close, so that'll be the end of or, comma, if it's any of those three options, then I know that it's recurring, comma, if it's not one of these three options that is put in our parameters here, then I want it to give me that it's non-recurring, close parentheses. So it's identified entertainment as non-recurring. From here, we've categorized by category and by type. Here, I want to sum these different categories. So I will do a sum if formula. So if we need to do our range and then our criterion and then our sum range. So if in this sum my criterion shows up, then I want it to add up the amount. So I know that 665 of all of this range is food expenses, and I've done that for the rest. And I do want to say that to lock in a feature, you do Fn F4, and it'll lock in those values. So we want to lock in our range, but not our criterion. So I will do that for the rest, and I've already added that in for us. Then I want to categorize it by needs or wants. So this is another drop-down menu that I've already shown you how to do, but again, that's picking up from down here. So I will identify these by needs or wants. So housing, I will identify that. That is definitely a necessity. So from here, it's recommended that 50% of your total monthly income or your total income you use on necessities, 30% on your wants, and you should be saving about 20% of your income. So here on column K, I've created a formula that's just picking up your total combined salary and multiplying it by those percent of recommended. So this is 50% or times 0.5. This is by 30%, and this is by 20%. So from here, I've created an embedded if formula. So this will allow me to add a third option. And I have something hidden here, and we'll come back how to do that. But if my actual amount is less than this 10% calculated within my budget, so it's 90% of my actual budget, then yes, I'm within my budget, I'm within that limitation. But if not, that's where the second if formula starts. If this amount is greater than my total gross, that means I'm spending more than what's recommended, then no, I'm not within my budget. But since we added that embedded, I can add that third option close to budget limit. So that means I'm in between two values. So for needs, it's no. For wants, it's yes. And here we see that third function, close to budget limit. And I can see that it's in between the two values. So this is helpful when I know that technically I am within my budget, but I'm also getting close. So I will like to watch out for that. So here, I mentioned that this is hidden. This is a helpful tool when you don't want to just hide this information. This information is still important, but maybe I don't want it to be so cluttered. So if you highlight, and instead of just hiding, we highlight, we also go to data, you can go to group, and that will group this. So it'll show up like here, but it won't just completely hide the information. So it's for visualization purposes. So now we've put it by category, by type, we did the sums, and now we know if we're within our budget or not. So if we go back to home, now we know that we can visualize. So if we go to tab C, which is our graphs, now we have a bar chart and a pie chart. We can see exactly how much everything is going by category and by type. So if I delete this, if I delete this whole thing, then I can go to my budget and I'll highlight all of these. If you go to insert on the charts, you can select what type of chart you want in 3D, but I'll just do a regular cluster. You Control X. I will take this and paste it here. And you can modify here. So I actually want to add access titles. So I'm going to name this the 2024 expenses. Category. Here, these are my different categories. And this is my amount in dollars. So this is helpful when creating reports for clients. This is something that we use quite frequently. This will be the same thing, but here we would highlight our needs and wants and savings, go to insert, and we would select the pie chart. And here we have visualized both of our expenses by category, and this is by time. Now we use our helpful hyperlink, and now we've completed expense, the budget modifications, and graph. But I want to go to the goal tool app or tab. I'm going to delete this out. And here I've created another drop down, and this one's picking up from right here for my categories. So what are you saving for? Sally and Sue, let's say they are wanting to buy a ring. So that's a special occasion. How much do you need? Enter in your amount. Let's say they need $2,000. Here you can add the years and the months. So let's say they have a year and 5 months to do it. This formula right here is picking up our total amount, and we are converting this to months. So go ahead and do a parenthesis so we can do one function at a time. So the years multiplied by months, by 12 months in a year, and then adding the months. So that's converted to 17. So it calculated that we need 117. I want to know if we can afford this. So according to your current budget, is it possible to reach your goal? This is a basic if function. If this amount is, it's referencing less than our total savings, then yes, we are able to reach our goal. But here I also wanted to know, are we still within our 20%? Can we still save that amount? So this one's a little bit more complicated, but if it's referencing budget, if our actuals minus, because now we're saving an additional, so it's apart from our savings. If our actuals minus our goal amount is greater than what is recommended, then we are not within our goal. So if it's greater than our recommended, then yes, we are having savings in progress. But if not, then no, we need to reassess our goals. We either need to change the amount. So if we're $100, then yes, it is possible, or we can change the amount of time. So if we had a longer time to save, then yes. So this is just helpful to show us different things. And as we saw here, we were already close to our budget, so it makes sense that we cannot save that amount. So we've gone through different if formulas, embedded in formulas. We've done data validation, graph visualization, different drop-down menus, if or formulas, sum if formulas, and I hope you've been able to follow along, and I hope you either learn how to budget a little bit or learn some helpful Excel tips like hyperlinks. But thank you for following along with me.